toward third base. See where Cressetti is. He's standing about 10 feet off the bag. Here's the pitch. A single over second base. Scoring Cressetti.
In this tutorial, we're going to make a project that is a little more fully featured and show off some of the tools that you have available when you're making interactive AR experiences with our app. So, as you can see, we've got a few meshes in here this time. We've got the panorama mesh, which is this big half-cylinder in the background, and a nice photograph for people to look at. We've got a little information kiosk that's standing in front that has a play audio button and a play video button, so that they can learn more about the panorama. And then we've got a circle that appears on the ground, so that they know where they should stand to get the best view. So these four meshes, as you can see here, are named meshes 0 through 3 because we have four meshes and we always begin with 0. We imported them just like we did in the first video. So if you haven't watched that video and you don't know how to import your mesh and name your mesh properly, you might want to go back and watch that one. We've added the unlit shader, shader 0, to all four meshes because we want the textures to appear exactly as we're seeing them here without any shadows. We're not using any transparency. We're not using any of our other special effects, so we're just going to stick with shader 0. And then we've named them so that we can find them very easily. The new stuff is right here. So if I turn these two meshes on, you'll see that we've got these white boxes that are over the top of the audio and the video buttons. And these are the colliders. These will essentially be the triggers that you interact with in order to begin the audio or begin the video. These are just basic boxes that I've created in Blender. You'll notice that they are axis aligned, meaning that they are perpendicular to the axes here in the world. So if you look at the red and green lines and the orange line here, these boxes are in alignment or perpendicular with those, which means of course that they don't fit perfectly the shape of the button. They're a little bit different, but they more or less cover the area you would expect someone to tap or interact with in order to begin playing the audio or the video. So that's best practices when creating your colliders. I should note that to designate a collider over here in the outliner, you can see we name it COLL in all caps. Underscore. Then they do need an index number. So just like the meshes, we start with 0 and increment up. We have two colliders, one for the audio button and one for the video button. Now if we tilt open these colliders, here's where we get to the fun stuff. So a collider is essentially a type of trigger, and to create interactivity, we need a trigger and then one or more commands attached to that trigger. The way we attach commands to a trigger is to make child objects of the collider. So we've got our collider here, and you can see we've got two child objects that have been created as children of the parent. I show how to create a child object in another video. These are null objects, just like we created in the other video. And it's the naming, as always, that really gives them the features and the actions that we're trying to apply. So if we take a look at our list of actions right here, you can see that we've got all these different types of commands that we can add. And adding an audio file is command 18. So we type it by typing COMM for command. It's number 18. That's the one that plays audio. And you can see here it'll play an audio file on tap. It will not loop. It'll just play one time all the way through. And then the other thing that we need to add is the number of the audio file. And here you can see 1,3, which means that you need to check down here and see that these commands do require an MP3 file, an audio file with a unique sequential number. So AWEgmented_0 would be your first audio file. AWEgmented_1 would be your second audio file, and so on. So there we go. We're going to type COMM_18, and let's take a look at the files that we'll be working with. So we have an AWEgmented_0 audio file, and that is a little bit of old radio commentary of the game. And then AWEgmented_1 is a clicking sound, so that when we tap those buttons, we get a little bit of a clicking sound. So if we come back over here and we take a look, you can see that when we click on Audio Button Collider 0, we are going to play the audio voiceover, which is command 18. It's going to play audio file 0. And it will then execute the next command, which is to play another audio file, which is audio file 1, which is our click sound for the audio button. So that's how you create a button. You make a collider and you attach some commands. For the second button, which is the video button right here, the play video button works very similarly. The only difference is on this collider, we're going to play the click sound just like we did before. So we've got COM18, which is the play audio command. We're going to play, this time audio file 1, which is the same sound we played before, and then we're going to play the video. So command 21 is the play video on tap command. Here we do need to specify some other bits of information. If we go back and look at command 21, that's going to play the video file on tap, and that needs to know what video to play, which is the video number, and then what mesh it should play that on. So if we look over here, we've got COM21, which is play video. It's going to play it on video file 0, which is our first video file. And then it's going to play it on mesh 3. And if you look down here, we've got a screen right here that is just a mesh that has been created that's about the same size as the video file in terms of proportions. And it's been adjusted with a few other little tweaks that you'll want to pay attention to in order to make sure things display properly. So if we take a look, we need to do a few other things. As stated right down in here, there's a little list of adjustments that you need to make in order for the video to appear properly. But if you do that, when you play this project, you should see when you click on this collider, the video will play right here, and that's it. So there you go. We package it up exactly the way that we did before. We select all of the pieces, and we come over to File, and make sure that we've got Export Data selected. We then export our FBX file, making sure that all of our settings are correct. We want to make sure this says Copy. Then we want to make sure to check the Embed Materials. We want to make sure that we have selected objects. Make sure -Z is forward and Y is up. And then click Export. Once we have the FBX file exported, we will take that file and the original MP3 audio files, and the video file, and we will select them all and zip them up. So on Windows, you'll right-click and zip. On a Mac, you'll hold down Control and simply come over here to compress, and that'll give us a zip file. You'll want to name this something that makes sense to you, and this zip file is what you will upload to our Creator Studio.
Fred getting a sign from Hayworth. Looks around over toward third base, see where Cressetti is. He's standing about 10 feet off the bag. Here's the pitch. A single over second base.